I'm Janine, and I am serving as president of the Midwest CIO here in Tualatin. Thank you for coming to our annual meeting. We're hoping to have future meetings in person, but I think this is just a fun way to get everybody together while we can't be together. Haha. Just we can do, I think we're small enough. We have time to do just quick introductions. City folks, you guys can sit on your hands right now because you'll get your turn. Just the CIO members and CIO visitors, that would be great if everybody could just take a turn to say hello.
Hello, Rita Jones.
Hello, Rita.
Introduce yourself.
Hello, Michael and Risa Holberg.
Hello.
Marcia Mindell, I'm Vice President of the CIO Board.
Thanks for doing that.
Hi, Bill Beers here.
Thank you.
Hey, Bill. And then, hi, Sally. Thanks for coming to our meeting. I appreciate the support.
So I'm Sally Olson. I'm the president of Martinez Woods, CIO, and I see Ed Casey is here also. Introduce yourself, Ed.
Well, and yeah, oh, there we go. Ed Casey with IBOC. And we have another one of our board members here, Patricia.
Hello.
Say hi, Patricia.
Hello, IBOC.
See you, sorry.
IBOC is representing. Hello, Jeff. Hi, Susan.
Hi, it's Susan Nowak, CIO 3.
Great. Great to have you. And then we see Liz, but
Hi, yeah, I'm just a new resident here. I moved onto Southwest Alsea Drive a couple months ago, so excited to be here and meet some more of the community.
well, welcome to Tualatin, or at least to the CIO if you were already in Tualatin, Liz. We're glad to have you at our meeting.
Thank you.
Hiya, Jeff.
Hi,
Jeff is actually staff.
I am staff.
Your staff. All right. And then is it Letitia or Letitia?
It's Letty, actually.
Letty. All right. So what we see is Letitia's iPhone.
Right,
But-
right.
Hi, Letty.
Hello. Just thought I'd
Welcome.
join in and see what you had to say.
Well, thank you. We have a great agenda planned with the city, and we've just got a couple more minutes. Does anybody want to share anything? Anything exciting other than almost getting hit by all the branches that were coming down that were originally broken in the ice?
Congratulations, Jonathan, on your chamber award.
What did the chamber give Jonathan, Marisa?
You know, I'm going to let Jonathan tell you with the
His audio is
award.
muted.
I'm chair of the chamber board.
I'll let Susan do it.
We started a new award in our Excellence in Business Awards, which is an annual event honoring our business community. And last year we did our first Business and Community Champion Award, which went to Sherilyn, our city manager, for her work on COVID and helping our community. And this year it went to Jonathan Taylor. We were thrilled to have him receive the award for his stellar performance in establishing the Business Recovery Center in the county and especially in Tualatin, and helping to push our community forward during the pandemic and supporting our businesses and our community. And it was, we felt it was extremely well deserved for his talent and the kind of work he put into it to help us all. We all benefited from his work, not just our businesses. So that was our thank you to him.
Excellent. Excellent. You are loved by our community. Thank you, Jonathan. Well, we are going to go ahead and move forward with our agenda. Sergeant Mike Vorberg, you are up.
Hi there. My video keeps shutting down on me, but
I wanted to say hello to everybody. Sorry about my video. We're having some new internet and connectivity upgrades in the office, so we're experiencing some Wi-Fi issues. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
So I am the District 2 Sergeant, which includes the Midwest as well as the IBOC, and basically everything that's west of I-5 and south of Tualatin Sherwood Road. We have presently 34 sworn officers working through Tualatin, and we've endured this crazy year just like everybody else with COVID and forest fires and ice storms, and we're still going out and doing the best we can. We are seeing some trends and some criminal activity just to keep you all updated on. And a lot of it is similar to the past with vehicle break-ins, the nuisance type crimes of theft, and a lot of the commonalities we see with those are just unlocked vehicles on the street or in driveways where it's a crime of opportunity. So reminder to keep an eye on things, to keep your vehicles locked. And if you see anything suspicious, certainly give us a call. Don't think it's a burden. That's what we're here for. And we're happy to come out to all these calls that we get. And a lot of times it's fruitful where we can capture somebody and hold them accountable for breaking into these vehicles. Another trend is it's an unusual thing, but it's the theft of catalytic converters recently. So what we're seeing is people are crawling under vehicles and taking expensive vehicle parts and recycling them for metal. So there's ongoing criminal investigations on a lot of these, but if you see anybody crawling underneath a vehicle, that's worth a phone call to us. If they don't belong at a time of day or a location where that would be normal, certainly give us a call, because there's been at least 30 catalytic converter thefts in Tualatin in the last couple of months. So that's been an unusual thing. And that's because the value of the metal,
Converted thefts in the last month.
the value of these catalytic converters is because there's a precious metal in them that is sought after by metal recyclers. So, but we're here, we're fighting the good fight, and we're doing the best we can. And I appreciate you all for being here and taking interest in your community. And if there's any questions for the police department, I'd be happy to answer anything that I could try.
It's for the police department.
Are some cars easier to steal the catalytic converters off of?
More than anything, I think what it's been targeting is certain vehicles that have more precious metal than others, such as, for some reason, the Toyota Prius has been a popular target vehicle for these, unfortunately. And oftentimes, on the opposite side of that is larger Chevy and Ford vehicles. And I think that has more to do with the accessibility and the size of the metal under those. But for some reason, the Toyota Priuses have very valuable catalytic converters. So keep an eye on those and watch out for each other and each other's neighbors.
Do you know where they resell these catalytic converters, and you can kind of stop that ability to resell them?
Yes, so there are task forces throughout the county that work with metal theft. They work with the recycling companies. There's databases that keep track of who sells to these businesses. And so it's cross-reported to the task force in a perfect world of legitimacy that comes through to us. And so there are coordinating efforts and communications underway for metal recyclers to cooperate with law enforcement on these.
Does anybody else have any questions for Sergeant Vorberg?
Do alarms go off if a catalytic converter is removed? Car alarms.
Yes, thanks, Marcia. Oftentimes, if there is a car alarm installed, this would be enough of a movement in the vehicle to set off a car alarm. And unfortunately, a lot of times they're so used to car alarms going off, they don't think twice about it. But take an extra look around and be alert to those things and be vigilant. And like I said, just call us through dispatch and let us know, or certainly if it's warrants a 911 call, that's that's not an issue either. So we're here to respond and happy to help.
Would you remind us of the dispatch number?
Yes, it's 503-629-0111.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's just for non-emergent calls?
Yes, that's for non-emergency through dispatch.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Oh, all right. So we will just go ahead and move forward. City development and upcoming business. That's you, Steve, and you, Jonathan. You guys can like divvy up the time however you like.
Sure, thanks. I have just a short PowerPoint. Do you want to go first, Jonathan, or shall I?
You can go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Well, hi, everyone. It's nice to see you all virtually. I do hope that next time it can be in person. That would be great. It's good to see some familiar faces. And for those of you that I've not met before, I'm Steve Koper, the city's Assistant Community Development Director. And so I'm here with a quick update on goings on affecting community development, primarily planning and land use, but some other topics as well. Here we go. Okay. So the first of our updates is just a general update. The community development offices, including building, planning, engineering, as well as non-community development court, have moved out of their previous facilities. It was city offices for community development, and then the court was out of the police department. And they moved to a new facility that was built at the city's public works site out on Herman Road. It's a new addition to an existing building. And so right now we're not fully open to the public at this point, but we're looking forward to having the public in sometime soon. The city manager has communicated that we'd be open to the public at least by September 7th after Labor Day, if not sooner. But we'll look forward to the future when you all can come and visit us for various services in this facility. There's also a really nice meeting room, which I think that once we get back to meetings, people will be able to take advantage of.
Ooh, future CIO meeting location. Is that what you're saying?
I hope so. I mean, I can't speak to the programming for sure, but I think that's a great idea. So we'll certainly keep you all in mind when we start to calendar it out. One of the things, of course, we've been forced to do in the pandemic, which has actually been a great thing, is that we've been forced to speed up our process at looking at how we serve the public remotely, which is primarily through our eTrackIt portal. We have also our interactive zoning map and then development code. And then for those of you that are interested, we went through a process culminating at the end of last year where we updated the comprehensive plan and made it more graphical and engaging. And so you can find all of these tools on our website, which is tualatin.gov/planning, or you can just navigate to the planning site and find all these tools. We have all of our land use applications fully online. And so we've really been able to serve the public without skipping a beat. And we do, of course, telephone and email and video conferences as well. And again, looking forward to a time at which we can start rolling out services that include in-person services as well. Just a couple of notes as far as land use development that we've seen in the past few months is that we've seen continued work at the PG IOC site on the corner of 124th and TS Road. So those of you who've driven by are seeing the building starting to come out of the ground and lots of grading and site activity. Our understanding currently is that they're looking to start moving folks in fall of this year, 2021. So stay tuned on that. There have been a couple of recent development approvals. One of them, the LU Pacific, up there on the right-hand side of the slide, is along Herman Road, and it's actually a great project because it's going to contribute to some of the frontage improvements there and help add bike lanes and sidewalks to Herman Road, which in conjunction with a project that Jeff may be here to talk with you about, or Mike, Herman Road project that would basically widen Herman Road and add bike lanes and a sidewalk to the area between the mobile home park and the public works site thereabouts. And then a couple other developments. One is a fleet parking lot that's developed kind of over toward the end of Miscellany Street, and then Miscellany Industrial Park, which is being developed at between Miscellany and Tualatin Sherwood Road. So we'll see some development, probably some grading activity occur in that latter site area this summer. So you'll see some dirt moving around. And then Basalt Creek, we've come to you before the Midwest CIO and talked about Basalt Creek before. There's not really anything new to add at this point. We've had some, like we mentioned last time, we've had some annexations over on the very yellow portion on the right. And then we've seen some code and map amendments that have changed things around a little bit, but we haven't seen any actual development applications yet. We've been working closely with Lennar and then the affordable housing development, which would go on the orange square there. And so it seems like Lennar is probably going to submit within the next couple of months, and then probably shortly thereafter for the affordable housing site. And I guess maybe just to take a second here and just confirm, I believe we've started sending out land use notices to the CIOs, or are folks receiving those? Is that coming through?
No.
Not yet? Okay. Well, I'll go and backtrack and make sure that that's happening on our end, but look out for that one coming up soon. We haven't had a lot of land use activity recently, so that may be part of it as well. And then lastly, as far as long range planning work that we've been working on with the Planning Commission, we have our chair, Bill Beers, here, and as well as members of the City Council, of course. The first of which is a middle housing code update. There's a House bill in 2020 or so that required all city, you may have heard of it in the news, it requires cities to allow for duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes in areas that used to allow only single family homes. And so we're in the process of doing some rulemaking around that. We've gotten through a point where we've had a code audit and some recommended changes from our consultant, and then we've had some policy guidance from our Planning Commission and City Council. I think it probably won't surprise any of you here to hear that the City Council was interested in making sure that there was as much parking as we can require under the law, which is certainly important. And then other things like just making sure that there's as much as possible, I guess I would call them probably livability standards, where we're making sure that the building heights aren't taller than a regular single family house for these type of dwellings, and that we're not allowing setbacks to get too small so that they kind of dominate over other houses to the extent they get built and things like that. Last note on that project is that we will go out with an actual text amendment to our development code. That'll happen in August, September. And so similarly, CIOs will make sure that you all get notices of that. And so if you want to comment and add your 2 cents, we'd encourage you to do that. And then the other piece of long range planning work that we're working on, which is similarly wrapping up a little bit quicker, is what's called a housing production strategy. And basically what that is it's a new thing under companion state law that was developed around the same time as the middle housing state law. And what it is asking Tualatin to do, and we kind of volunteered early and then got a grant to do the work. So we didn't have to pay our own city funds to do this work, which was a great opportunity. And it's essentially looking at strategies to help encourage affordable housing, and then a host of other kind of housing related things, some of which is middle housing, some of which is mixed use, and things that we've heard from other CIO folks. And then of course the ever important trying to encourage types of housing that allow people to age in place and allow seniors and those with disabilities to have good housing choices as well. And so those are all important factors of this. And so that work is set to conclude in July with the council ultimately adopting a resolution to accept the work. And then we'll have lots of work to do to implement that plan that comes out of it. And so of course, we'll undoubtedly be coming back to the CIOs to get more public engagement and learn from you all what are important things to you. And that concludes my presentation. I'll just pop out a screen share. All right. I'm happy to answer any questions. And if not, thank you for having me and thank you for your time.
I have a question regarding the housing plan. Are any documents available to look at now, or is that going to come out one year?
So there are some, yes. If you go to Tualatin, Oregon.gov/planning and then /middle housing, there's some documents there. It's the code audit that I mentioned, and then some of the draft. As far as the actual like draft changes to the development code, those will come out around that August-September timeline when we present them to the council and planning commission for adoption.
Okay.
So that would be the time if you want to get into the details and see the T's crossed and the I's dotted, that would be your time.
Good, thank you.
And Steve, I have a question about housing as well. How many single family homes are slated to be added into the mix?
Do you mean specifically in that like Basalt Creek area?
Mm-hmm.
I think that I think the total is around 400. And so it'd be a mix, roughly 20% of that mix would be attached, like a townhome type of development. And then the rest would be detached single family homes.
Okay.
Lennar is the builder, and they have there's a community in the South Koper Mountain area that if you check that out on their website, you can kind of get, I think, a flavor for the type of development that they're aiming for.
Right. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure.
So Steve, with the development of Basalt Creek, has there been a traffic impact analysis? Because we know that traffic on Tualatin or on Boone's Ferry Road is already bad. So I guess I have two questions. Is there a traffic analysis? And what are the steps being taken by the city to really encourage traffic that is going to I-5 to use the new 124 road?
Yeah, those are great questions. Thank you. So the traffic kind of comes in two parts. There was a long-range traffic study, which looks at the 20-year growth cycle, which is the planning cycle. That was done at the time that the Basalt Creek amendments were done. And so the zoning, like what land uses are allowed, houses versus industry, did that examination. And then each time a development comes in, they'll have to do their own, they call it a built year analysis is the technical term, but it basically looks at what contribution that traffic would have to the existing traffic volumes. And so they'll have to make sure that the level of service, I'm throwing out all these technical terms, so I apologize. But they basically have to make sure that the traffic system can work in the built year as well. And so that there are kind of checks and balances on making sure that the development that was envisioned also still is adequate. And then, to the extent that the traffic numbers that they provide show that they have to do improvements like a stop sign or a turn lane or contribute to a to a signal or things like that, then that's something that they would have to do as part of the development. And so it of course depends on how much development they do. And then the other piece of the puzzle, kind of to your point, which is a good one about the larger traffic system, is that the plan overall called, and there was this in 2012 this specific traffic subplan to the Basalt Creek plan, and basically it looked at adding roads. And so the things like the Basalt Creek Bridge that's going to cross over the canyon from Graham's Ferry to Boone's Ferry is being built with the intention of directing more of the traffic towards 124th and up that way, and then ultimately there will be improvements down on the Wilsonville part of the Basalt Creek area as well, with the intention of smoothing the traffic towards the I-5 intersection in kind of both directions. And so that's kind of the answer is that there's also this idea that the completion of the overall traffic system envisioned in Basalt Creek is going to help. I think that, you know, at the end of the day, there's no escaping that growth brings traffic, and that there is, I mean, there overall is, I think, a larger plan from the city leadership to try to get more creative and figure out ways to, you know, like building mixed use commercial and adding amenities and things that folks are looking for in town so they don't have to drive as far. You know, I think those are also part of the mix in the long term as well. And those are some of the things that we'll be studying, and the council will be looking at, like when they do urban renewal and those kinds of things, of like, how do we get more balanced, I guess, where people aren't just kind of leaving for jobs and then coming back, right?
Thank you.
When when the plan was proposed connecting Graham's Ferry with Boone's Ferry off of 124th, they had a meeting down at the TVFW training facility. And I asked one of the Washington County guys, well, that's going to put a lot of traffic onto Boone's Ferry Road. Do you have any traffic studies? He said, no, we do that afterwards. It was, and that right now, if they connected that from 2 in the afternoon till 7, all the traffic coming off 124th would come into bumper to bumper traffic on Boone's Ferry going south. I mean, I've seen it backed up from Wilsonville all the way to the Tualatin High School, bumper to bumper, going south, and I've seen it on Boone's Ferry Road going north towards McDonald's and Tualatin Sherwood Road, where it's backed up past the high school also. So something doesn't connect here as far as, you know, you want to dump them all on Boone's Ferry because it's a bigger road, but the road is over capacity right now. So just my thought, and think about it. I couldn't believe the comment that I got from Washington County planner, but.
So Marisa, did you have a quick question for Steve? We also need to allow.
It was a while ago, but I was looking to see the creek. You'd think Basalt Creek would be the name of the bridge that they're proposing, but I came up with Tapman Creek.
Yeah, it's
okay.
I mean, it's Tapman Creek, but they call it the Basalt Creek Canyon, and people kind of call it Basalt Creek.
Okay, but it's Tapman Creek.
You're correct.
There's also talk. There's also a website about fishing on Tapman Creek.
That's cool.
So, yeah, well, it's cool now. I don't know once I put that road in, that bridge in.
Yeah, they're gonna have to study those things and mitigate for that, and that's a Washington County project. And I think that I would encourage you to stay plugged in. They have a website and a mailing list for that, and we're interested to see how that's all going to be solved as well. So I'm agreeing with you.
I did a quick look at frequently asked questions on the Wilsonville site, and they want to see truck traffic go on that bridge. And they're going to have to filter the water that comes off that bridge. And in a pond below there, and how that's going to work, I'm not quite sure. But it was curious, kind of going along with what Ed Casey mentioned, is that when you read the frequently asked questions, the responses led me to believe that basically ODOT, who's the one I think would put the bridge in, are also the ones who are going to analyze how that bridge will work for the traffic And what I thought DEQ would be involved, that they're going to handle that too. So it seems like the people who want the bridge are the ones that are going to do all the research, which doesn't make sense. Does that make?
Yeah, I mean, that is how it works. And then they put it out for public comment. And so it puts the burden on other folks to try to do that. These are good topics. I don't want to steal the meeting though.
Yeah.
Janine,
All right.
I apologize. I do want to give Jonathan a turn.
I just have one quick question, and it's not one that has to be answered in depth or in detail, but you mentioned that Lennar is the developer or builder of choice for all of these single family homes. It looks like this area is going to be in earshot of the gun range. And my question is, do they know and understand that they're developing property that's going to be under the sound of gunfire?
I don't know. They haven't specifically mentioned that issue in meeting with them. I mean, they've been to and visited and walked the property extensively. I know that. So I'm assuming that they're aware of whatever issues are there and have done their due diligence.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
So Steve, you were grabby with time, but we forgive you because we had a lot of questions.
Thank you.
Jonathan and Jeff, are you guys willing to share the next 15 minutes?
Yeah, so mine will probably spur a lot of questions, but know that moving forward with the Basalt Creek area of what we're going to do, we're going to have many more opportunities after tonight for public input regarding urban renewal. So I'm going to be very quick and give Jeff a little bit more time because, like I said, we'll have a lot more opportunities for public involvement and public input. So does everyone see my screen? Okay. So real quick, as everyone knows, in 2020, we went through a pandemic and we're kind of still going through one right now. The city of Tualatin gave out $1.2 million worth of economic assistance grants to over 115 businesses in the city of Tualatin. The average grant was about $7,500, with the smallest grant being $884 and the largest being $20,000. This was based on 4 programs that we did. We received most of our money from the Federal CARES Act funds that were distributed through the state of Oregon and Washington County. But the city also was the first city, in addition to Beaverton, that launched the small business assistance grants when the pandemic first started on March 17th. So we city council dedicated $252,000 worth of Tualatin urban renewal non-tax increment dollars to this effort. Of the 115 businesses, this is roughly the breakdown. We still have several outstanding invoices that we're trying to get businesses to submit so we can actually pay them out from last year. 31% were to restaurants and 27% were to services. And then this is just a little bit more further breakdown, and this will be up on our website under the CIO banner. So 32 establishments, as you can see, the average grants range from 10,000 in restaurants down to 6,600 in retail. Next is urban renewal, and I think this is what will generate a lot of questions moving forward. And what the city is doing is we've taken a multi-year approach of looking at how do we develop the community in the ways that the community has identified those needs. And urban renewal is a financial tool that funds projects in urban renewal areas. And the purpose is to make public investments to alleviate blight, to improve properties, to leverage private investment. And I want to be very clear, it utilizes tax increment financing. So this is not new taxes to fund projects. So what is tax increment financing? It's where an established based on your assessed valuation that is normal per year gets frozen for all taxing districts. Then that increment that occurs naturally per state law every 3 years, as it goes up, it goes to the Urban Renewal Commission. So it's not new taxes. It's just what is going to naturally occur for your property valuation that you pay. But the law requires that fund in this district goes to those projects. So every citizen will see this on their tax bill, but not every citizen pays that tax. So it's a weird breakdown. And like I said, we will have an open house throughout the entire month of July. That way you can ask these questions to get further clarification, because it is kind of confusing, but it is not new taxes. So how did this all start? As Steve was talking about, this started with Tualatin 2040 and the EOA and HNA that began in 2018. And then over the last 4 years, the city council has taken a very deliberate and methodical approach to these issues, from bond funding measures for transportation to the housing production strategy. And now they're looking at urban renewal. And so we had an education series in 2019. Last year, we conducted 2 feasibility studies. One was for the Basalt Creek area and the other one was for the town center. The city council is still looking at the town center issue, so we won't be talking about that tonight, but Basalt Creek is one we'll look at. And then this year, we're hoping that Basalt Creek moves forward. But one thing that I want to highlight is Levington Tax Increment District. It is not an active urban renewal, but it has funds left. And this is the breakdown of what City Council is intending to do with those funds moving forward. Urban renewal planning, rapid crosswalk beacons, and then the Herman Road Extension project that Jeff will talk about if that's the questions need to be asked at a later point in time. But Public Works and Engineering and Community Development will be handling this project, but Urban Renewal is going to be financing the construction portion of that project. And what we anticipate is the plan for Levington will be completed in October 2021, which is just amending the plan document. There's no financial deliberations or anything. It's just part of the process. And this is where I think the questions may occur. So the city council is looking to establish an urban renewal district in that following photo, from the 124th Southwest Industrial area down to the urban renewal area. The goal is to develop a plan to finance the identified projects in those areas. And those projects have been pulled from the Basalt Creek Concept Plan, the Southwest Industrial Concept Plan, the Transportation System Plan, Tualatin 2040 and moving forward. And so down below, you'll see the timeline with the plan being adopted in early September, but it goes to the TDC in June, and then it kicks off the whole process. Here's just the breakdown of the zoning of the proposed district. Most of it is industrial with a little bit of residential. And this is modeled after the Basalt Creek Concept Plan and also the Southwest Industrial Concept. So what are the types of projects being considered? There's recreation trails that have to meet the multimodal definition. It can't be parks and recreation because urban renewal has to generate property valuation. That's how we get support from our fellow taxing districts, because we can't just not have a property that we pay for, pay projects for, not generate TIF in the long term. Transportation improvements, i.e. Blake Street, which is near the PGE site, and also the Blake Street interchange light that is being proposed as well. Utility infrastructure, water, sewer, stormwater infrastructure, that's going to be important, but the city will be leading that effort for planning in 2021. And then obviously property acquisition and property mitigation for any unforeseen consequences that result from development. And if any of you were around when Levington was being first created, this is exactly how we're trying to model it. A very successful urban renewal area that creates high quality, high paying jobs, but is also a very pretty industrial area compared to the rest of the metro region. So the next steps, it'll go to the Tualatin Development Commission, which is our city council, on June 28th for recommendation only to the city council. And then the open house is the month of July, and that will be online. We're going to try to make it very interactive. It'll go to the Planning Commission on July 15th for approval based on the comp plan requirements. And then during that time, there's a process called consult and confer. It's 45 days and it has to be approved by 3 of the 4 major taxing districts within these areas. So for example, Washington County, Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue, the 2 school districts, the city of Tualatin. They have to agree to this plan as well. And then it'll go to the city council for a public hearing on August 9th, and then with final city adoption on August 23rd. If you want to know more, you'll visit our urban renewal page at tualatinoregon.gov. But like I said, the virtual open house is in July. But at any point through this process up until August 9th, you can contact me at jtaylor@tualatin.gov for any questions. I know we have several area residents that have been on our task force and that have been very involved in this process. So we want to make sure that our CIOs also know what's going on in the area. This is an exciting opportunity because it actually allows the city to fund the necessary improvements and infrastructure that is needed for the area to develop appropriately, but that doesn't take those funds from the general fund. So it doesn't divert existing resources that are needed elsewhere in the city. So it uses urban renewal in lieu of that.
Thank you, Jonathan. That sounds like great news, and you're giving us a whole month to ask you questions about it. So we appreciate that.
You got 3 months. So
Yeah,
even though
that's
the open house is a month, but you actually have up until August 9th for any public input.
That's great. Does anybody have any questions of Jonathan? All right, Jeff, you know what? We padded our schedule a little bit. So can you do it in 10 minutes, what you need? If we give you
I have to do it 10 minutes, so I will. So
7:20.
Mike McCarthy's here with me as well, so we will both talk really fast.
Terrific. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Mike. Mike, I'm sorry I don't have you on my printed agenda, but I'm glad you're here sharing time with Jeff.
And I'm going to go super fast. So Mike is our project manager for the Garden Corner Curves project on the city side. So if there are questions about that, we have one slide that specifically talks about that. I'm going to share my screen real quick and go super fast. So. All right, can you see my screen? Is it in slide? Mode? I can't tell, which is really funny. Are you all there?
It's not in slide mode.
And can you see my screen?
Yes.
How's that?
Now it's in slide mode.
All right, perfect. Okay, so tonight we'll quickly talk about transportation projects that are in the Midwest CIO. Congestion relief projects. My internet connection's unstable. I'm assuming you can see that. Congestion relief projects that affect your ability to get in and out of the CIO. These are mostly bond-funded projects. Mike's going to give a quick update on Garden Corner Curves construction, and then we will quickly talk about the 2021 Neighborhood Traffic Safety Program and call for projects that's out right now. And then great place to get more information on a lot of the transportation stuff we're doing, including all the bond-funded projects, is www.tualatinmovingforward.com. So projects in the Midwest CIO. So the biggest one, which I think everyone probably knows about, is Garden Corner Curves. That's under construction right now. 95th and Avery is a project over by Tualatin Elementary School, and that's essentially adding some safety improvements on 95th, Avery, 93rd, and Sagert. You're going to see construction activity there this summer, and then a second phase next summer. Boone's Ferry corridor. So this is an exciting project. It's essentially filling in all the sidewalk and bike lane gaps all the way down Boone's Ferry, from just south of Tualatin Sherwood Road at Warm Springs all the way down to Norwood. And so you'll see that to hopefully make that corridor much safer for folks that want to ride bikes as an alternative mode of transportation and walk along that corridor. And then there's a small project, Project D at Arapahoe, just south of Arapahoe on Boone's Ferry. There's an existing crosswalk, and it's a little bit scary. So that we're going to put rectangular rapid flashing beacons there, those flashing bright lights, and then do some curb ramp improvements to meet ADA standards. And then I think it was in 2019, we finished the Boone's Ferry intersection at Selects, and we added rapid flashing beacons there. Rebuilt that intersection so it actually had sidewalks and curb ramps, and ended up being a real facility. So those are the things we've been spending bond money on in your CIO. And then congestion relief projects. So these are just some of the larger projects in the program that kind of affect everyone's ability to move around town, but specifically Saggart and Martinazzi. So that's sort of the Keystone Cop intersection, four-way stop with a lot of different movements. It's a little bit hard to drive. That's getting a signal. We accepted, the bids came in today. So we accepted bids today. We got really good prices from the contractors. So we're super happy. So you will see construction on that this summer. And it should be finished. That's a one-season project, right, Mike?
Should be finished by the end of the calendar year.
Yep. So yes, so it'll be done this year, which is great. And then the other big project that we're still working on is Tualatin I-5 by Nyberg there, over by Cabela's and Fred Meyer. So we're essentially adding a third eastbound lane to allow. What it really does is it saves people sitting on Tualatin Sherwood Road between 2 and 2.5 minutes. And that's just literally the distance from Boone's Ferry to the freeway. And that's where the time savings is. So it's this huge time savings. That project is joint project. Well, it requires joint approval with ODOT and Washington County. So that's a little bit slower process than we'd like to see normally, but it is what it is. And we're working through that. And then last, the county is widening Tualatin Sherwood Road from Sherwood all the way up to Teton. And so basically Tualatin Sherwood Road will become 4 lanes all the way from Sherwood to I-5. So that should really help folks get in and out of town easier. Take it away, Mike.
Yes, it's just 1 lane each way.
Garden, can you see that? Garden corner curves.
Yep. So garden corner curves. So the main work, especially with the creek, has to happen in the summer. That's when environmentally it can be done and have the least environmental impacts. So the closures plan to start June 28th, and that'll be a full road closure from Industrial Way down to Willow. And the contractor will be coming in, ripping out the existing pipe that the creek flows through, putting in a big concrete box culvert. So that'll be getting quite a bit bigger. It'll actually look like a small bridge for the creek to flow through. And then putting in a new sewer line on top, the new power lines, which will be going underground with this construction, new gas line, new communications lines, and building the multi-use path along the side of 105th Blake and 108th. So that's all planned for this summer, and we figure it's going to take all the way through September. So we anticipate the road reopening in October, and I'm excited to see what it looks like when it's done. For temporary traffic control, we plan to set it up about the same way it was set up for the previous closure in January and February. So there'll be a lot of the do not enter neighborhood traffic only signs. And thank you, Jeff. So basically signs that try to keep people from cutting through the neighborhoods. The main detour again will be Avery to Boone's to IBAC. We will have some signs to help people find the nursery. And I think any questions or any changes you'd want to see from the way the traffic control was done last time?
Yeah, Mike, I'm going to jump in real quick. So I think we would love to hear from you on what worked, what didn't work, what we can do better. Because we closed the road in January, and it was closed for a couple months there, and so and we can do that at the end. Just save your questions, let us know if you have specific feedback about that, so we've got time right now to get it right this summer, and make sure that we address folks' concerns. And then last is neighborhood traffic safety. So this is the same program we've been talking about for a few years. Every spring, we open up a call for projects. We have a green button on our website. So again, if you go to tualatinmovingforward.com website, there's an opportunity to click the green button, suggest a project, fill out a form, and essentially say where you would like to see a project. We're aiming for projects that are similar to like the Arapahoe Boone Ferry project, which is a crosswalk with rapid flashing beacons, or speed complaints through neighborhoods, if we can do speed reduction measures or other safety improvements that are generally in that $100,000 range, kind of smaller projects that we can pull off. in a season. And then we're trying to spread those throughout the city. So a big focus this year that you will see is just to focus on equity and inclusion. We want to make sure we're hearing from everybody. And a lot of people aren't comfortable necessarily coming to the city and asking for something. And so we're really trying to reach out to the whole city, make sure that we're really hearing from people and providing a way for everybody to participate and suggest projects. And so we will, I think Megan can share this PowerPoint in a PDF format with you all when we're done. And I will stop sharing screens so we can talk.
Hey, Jeff and Mike, Bill Beers here, 10307 Southwest Siletz. So you had some questions about signage for the 108th work. I did a lot of going out like Moritok, Susquehanna, and Siletz onto 105th during that. And I noticed sometimes the signs faced me and sometimes they faced away from me. Like they changed at some point during that. So that was a little confusing. Also, when they're facing you and you're coming out, say from Siletz onto 105th and it says road closed, if you live in the neighborhood, you might know that it's closed down where the corners are. And so you don't worry about that. But if you're not there, or if you have a teenage driver like I do, she's like, what am I supposed to do? I'm like, honey, just turn right and we'll go out to Avery. But if it said right turn only or some more information than just road closed, that would be helpful.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question on the garden corners. I drive it almost daily, and it seems as when you're coming from Avery going south, as soon as you get over the hill, it seems to just narrow down quite a bit. The road looks nice and wide where by Industrial Park and all that. Start coming down that hill and it just seems to narrow. Is that going to be the finished road width for the entire project?
Yes, that is. And the design is intentionally keeping it narrow to try to keep speeds down. There's still, the travel lanes I think are maintained at, I believe it's 11 feet through there with, I think, a 1 foot shy from the curb. And so the idea was to try to keep the roadway tight to fit within the existing space and try to keep the speeds down.
Okay, I just didn't know if it was going to neck down even further. When you get into the corners with 11 foot width on the lanes, that people do tend to scoot right through there. Even now, where the surface is rough and the center line is not well defined. So I had a concern about that, but that your answer is fine with me.
Yeah, and essentially that was the number one complaint we heard whenever we did our public outreach before we started this project was speed. Above and beyond everything else is that people drive too fast through there. So the whole design of this is intended to try and slow people down and try and obviously keep people from crashing at that corner at the top, but really try and slow people down and get them to drive reasonably. So
I very much appreciate that. And I wish that you would actually put in some speed bumps because besides the garden corner, that industrial piece, if you will, or commercial piece, it's all residential. So houses line that street as it relates to the properties in Ibach, and it's not good.
And with all the large trucks from Amazon and UPS and such, they tend to take that. I think they will take that road a lot because that's the quickest route to get to Graham's Ferry Road or Boone's Ferry Road and such, rather than going through the congestion at along the freeway.
Right.
And one more point on the widening of Tualatin Sherwood Road next to Fred Meyer's, where you're going to add the additional lane. Are they just going to rip out all that beautiful landscaping? Or is that going to be up for bid, or is that going to be, I mean, there's gorgeous plants in there. They're overgrown right now, which I understand. You don't want to put any more money into it, but there might be something that some organization, some business might want to, you know, late at night, close down a lane, they could remove plants.
So we've heard that before, Ed, and part of our outreach plan as we get into construction is to figure out what to do with those plants. So it's possible that we would have our contractor remove the plants carefully, and maybe we move them over to the parking lot and set up tents and have them available for folks or something. But yeah, we've definitely heard from folks that they don't want us just to tear them all down and throw them in a dumpster. So look for more on that as we get into that construction project, which will be next, I think, starting next summer if we get through our ODOT approval as well. So
good.
All right.
Are those plants all native plants?
No,
I don't know.
That doesn't really look like it.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, Jeff and Mike and Steve and Jonathan, thank you all for being here and presenting and giving us some great food for thought and keeping us posted on what's happening around Tualatin. You have been really clear about how we can contact you with further questions, and we need to reclaim the rest of the time because this is our annual meeting and we technically need to have elections. So what I'm going to do, I need to all right, so we have 2 board openings. One is the land use representative and the other is treasurer for our CIO. Do I have anyone who is willing to volunteer for either of those positions? Alrighty, we will just keep looking. In the meantime, we have 3 positions that we do have volunteers for, but these are, we have 3 people who are willing. So let's just do it. I will just say the position and who has volunteered to do it. And if someone else would also like to do that position, you can let me know. I'm Janine Juliana. I have volunteered to act as president of our Midwest CIO. Does anybody want to arm wrestle me for the job? Otherwise, if we could just maybe do a show of screen share or reaction hands like this to vote yes, Janine, you can be president of the CIO.
Yes, Janine.
Yes.
I move.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Marsha Mindell has graciously volunteered to be our vice president of our CIO. Is there anyone else who would be interested in doing that job? All right, then can we just have a show of reaction hands or yeses to say whether you are willing to let Marsha continue in that position? Oh, thumbs up. Excellent.
Yes.
Thanks, Becky. Terrific. Thank you. And thank you, Marsha, for your willingness. Then we also have Tammy Palumbo, who has volunteered to continue as our secretary of the Midwest CIO. Is anybody interested in challenging Tammy for that position? Right, then let's just do a screen share reaction on whether we're willing to support Tammy in continuing being the CIO secretary. Terrific. Yep. Thank you all. We have a partial board.
Janine?
Yes.
I wanted to ask Marissa if she might be interested in a position. Marissa, are you still there? Yeah, you're there.
Yeah, I'm here. I've got someone over here moving a mouse and around and distracting me. I appreciate, thank you, but now's not a good time for me. And I've been involved in other things too, and so I still volunteer a lot by following water issues and like this bridge and so on. So
Well, and you come to our meetings and support us that way, and for that we are grateful.
And that's
it's
great, yes.
well, thank
You
you.
thought I'd ask.
Oh, well, thank you. I feel honored. Thank you.
So, and if any of you are feeling a little shy tonight and would like to think about it and let me know, you can either reach out to me or to Megan and Betsy at the city and just say, yeah, really, I do want to be involved in that. So we do have, Megan, do you want to do just super quick to wrap things up? Give us a quick update on city opening.
Yeah, happy to.
And activities that you gave us also at the beginning.
Yeah, so currently several city facilities are open. Our police department and our municipal court are open to the public. Several other facilities are partially open, and we encourage people to reach out and make appointments whenever possible. Right now we're looking at September 7th at the latest for our buildings to be fully open to the public, but we're continuing to monitor Washington County and Oregon Health Authority guidelines for that. Our library is currently under construction as we are adding a maker space, but we hope to have an exciting announcement in the next couple of weeks about that. Same with our Juanita Poll Center, which is our 55 and better community. In terms of programming and events this summer, our staff has been moving forward with many of our kind of signature events and plans. We're looking at having several concerts. They won't be at the Commons, but they will be in several parks, including Community Park and Equality Park and potentially IBOC, although I'll have to double check that. We'll also have several movies in the parks. Viva Tualatin, which is a fairly new event, started in 2019, and we had a small version in 2020. We're going to do that. It'll be spread over the course of a week at 3 different locations. So there'll be smaller events, but they will all have food and music and culture. So that'll be fun. We don't know yet on Crawfish Festival, but still moving forward as far as we know. And same with Pumpkin Regatta. At the moment, our plan is to continue, although it'll likely be different than the 20,000 plus events of the past. So summer camps are just about filled up if you've got kids who are interested. So I encourage you to take a look at those as well if you're interested.
Excellent. Thank you for that quick update. And Megan is super easy to reach and very friendly when you reach out to her. So if you have any questions of her, please let her know. We plan to continue the Midwest CIO tradition of having an ice cream social in August. So look for information on that. And we hope this fall to have an in-person meeting and to learn more about CERT and Tualatin Ready. So does anybody have any closing questions or comments or special things that you'd like to share?
Janine, congratulations on the meeting.
Oh,
did very well.
Thank you, Ed.
And
Thank you.
thank all the people from Tualatin, City of Tualatin.
Yeah.
Great comments, which they always are, but
we appreciate our city for supporting these meetings because you've already had a long day and you come and make your day even longer by being here with us. So thank you, Megan and Steve. And hey, where'd the rest of them go? We're grateful to them too.
Probably to dinner.
Yeah, exactly. So,
back to their own CIOs.
That's right. That's right. All right.
So I am new and would like to know how I can get emails from you or what I need to do to stay up to date. This is Letitia or Letty.
Oh, super. Thanks, Letty. What I will do, if you are willing to type your email address to Megan in the chat box.
Oh boy.
Or I will just send my email address. I'll just type my email address.
I'm not too savvy. I'm on my phone anyway, so I don't know. Can I just give you my email address?
If you are comfortable doing that, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. So it's Mark, M-A-R-K, Letty, letti@gmail.com.
markletty@gmail.com.
Yes.
So we will just add you to the information that we have going out, and just keep an eye on the city website. And Marcia's real good about updating Midwest CIO information on Nextdoor. I don't know if you're on Nextdoor, but if you look for Midwest CIO information. And we're also working on a CIO specific website, which is under construction right now. And I
Okay.
use the term we loosely. I'm not at all involved in that. So some we somewhere is working on that website.
So when you send me an email, it'll just be telling me about what's going on.
That's likely. We are still working. We are all, Marcia and I are really very new at this.
Mhm.
So we're still learning and working out the communication component and relying pretty heavily on the city. So
Okay, so a better way for me to stay connected would be to go onto the city website.
what do you think, Megan?
Yeah, so the city website's got a lot of information about what the city's doing, and we pull in other resources. I know for specific projects, we often have contact lists so that you can get specific information. That's common for our Tualatin Moving Forward bond program, as an example. I've also received a few more email addresses from folks who've attended tonight, so I'll pass those along to you, Janine.
Oh, terrific. Thank you.
I think other CIOs maybe have email lists that they use periodically to send updates, whether it's just forwarding an update that you receive from me or Betsy about something, or notifying them about an annual meeting, or asking for more volunteers for the board. But that's also pretty common.
Okay, terrific.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all for being here. Let's keep in touch.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Janine.